get going. I know y'all have waited for this moment for a long time.
Changes in draft CUP.
And as the applicant, as you see it, met the conditions of the ordinance. With the exception of variance.
With the exceptions that are noted for your consideration, the waiver of the building height and the flexibility that is to consider the parking reduction
Whatever, 13 spaces.
right, 13 spaces, and then the flexibility to allow them to go up from 36% to 70% impervious.
65%.
Well,
65.
well, the standard for just a commercial project is, the standard outdoor is 36, and then projects in central business, town center, office institutional, general business, allowed to go up to that 70%.
The council, we're going to consider the evidence as has been presented. After two public hearings, someone would like to start the discussion.
I'll rise to make a motion to deny the applicant's request for variances and special considerations, deny the requested CUP on the basis that the project as presented does not fully meet the town of Boynton Rock's land use code. Here are my reasons. Parking space variance. Petitioner request for relief of parking space requirements is tenuous. They imply, the petitioner implies that the spa does not expect customers who are not hotel guests, thereby mitigating the need for retail parking in this regard. Ask yourself, what business and what business plan sets out to limit their number of customers? Of course, the general public will be welcome, if not invited and advertised to. Regarding the availability of the spa, I see no evidence from the petitioner that their subsequent tenant or purchasers will not advertise the spa service to the general public. The height variance, petitioner's request for height variance cannot be approved by this commission on its face. The town code of Boynton Rock with respect to height restrictions states that approved height variances will not substantially injure the value of adjoining or abutting property. After two quasi-judicial hearings, the petitioner has produced absolutely no evidence via an appraisal or statements from adjoining or abutting property owners that their properties will not be adversely impacted. Absent this evidence of petitioner, the town of Boynton Rock is at substantial risk for future litigation due to any diminished property values if this commission approves this height variance. Absent evidence of the proposed development, that the proposed development would not impact property values. Vesting. Petitioner has requested a 5-year vesting term. North Carolina General Statutes provides for a 2-year vesting. Any vesting beyond that is by special exemption of governing body. Understand that during the vesting period, this town will not be able to change the zoning of the space whatsoever. Let's all remember just how much the world's changed since 2008 in 5 years. The granting of 5-year vesting would be beyond irresponsible. I see no evidence for its need. Beyond the fact that the petitioner is engaged as a speculator in this proposed development and would require this 5-year time in order to sell his project to his investors. Special intensity. Petitioner request for special intensity is of considerable concern. Any and all requests to deviate from norms that are intended to protect and continue to nurture Boynton Rock and its unique natural habitat should be granted only upon extremely extenuating circumstances. In my opinion, the speculative prospective real estate development does not rise to the level at which we would grant this request and jeopardize our natural resources.
A second. We have a motion and a second. I think, Al, since you made the motion, you made your position pretty clear. Does anyone else want to speak from an opposite approach?
Well, I guess since we're going to get ready to vote, I'm probably going to do what I always do, and try to sum it up rather simply. You know, the first thing that concerned me was when I talked to, excuse me, I'm supposed to talk loud. When I asked Ken whether or not we had kind of signed off on whether or not we could provide fire and safety certified that we could do it for this CUP. That, you know, just kind of hit me between the eyes when we can't do that. That's our responsibility. That's the first responsibility we have to any commercial developer, you know, when we do that. So I think it's irresponsible to even try to proceed forward with it until we have something definitive. And I keep going back to, you know, this whole thing has been air. It's kind of like I'm a big Seinfeld fan, and if anybody ever watched it, they tried to pitch the show Not Nothing. That's what they were always doing, is they were trying to, you know, pitch a show to NBC about nothing. You know, when this thing first came out, I was disturbed because the first thing that came in was, y'all have only a reason to make 3 decisions, and that was the variance, the height, and things like that. And I sat back and I went, wait a minute. Our responsibility is to do what's right for this town. Make decisions that are best for Blowing Rock. We have to take into consideration all the things. It's right for the developer. He has the right to go make money. We have to respect that. But we were also voted in to do what's best for the town and include those things. I've been disturbed that our planning office came out with a template and marked it up. I've been disturbed that our planning office was quoted in the press as being in favor of this project. They're supposed to be objective. They're supposed to put the facts in front of us and let us make a decision. We shouldn't have been painted in a corner to start on this thing. You know, we're supposed to be a part of this. We were led to believe that it sounded like we had to prove that the applicant was meeting all the ordinances. That's their burden of proof. They're the ones that have to come to us and tell whether or not traffic studies were needed, whether or not we were endangering health and safety, whether or not property values were going to be affected. That's their responsibility, not us. We've been looking at renditions, nice little PowerPoint presentations. We have yet to see stamped architectural drawings. How do you make a decision for what's right for that piece of property when you're playing guesswork? We've heard that the applicant can consolidate all the retail into one building. If he wanted to make it a Dollar General, as long as it's got nice little pretty siding and the right sign, he can do it. Is that what we want? They were mentioned about the change of use. There's so many issues involved with that, that if they decided to change the use and they're already involved in it, and they got $5 million that they got invested in it, and they come in here and they want to change the use, we're going to have a heck of a hard time. If we don't set the rules here to begin with, we're going to have a hard time saying no. Then we get down to where the rubber meets the road. This applicant has every right to make money off this property that he wants to. That's what makes the world go around. But doesn't own the property, doesn't have stamped architectural drawings, doesn't have financing for the project, has pretty much at this stage of the game did a lot with this CUP so far. We've heard some things back and forth, but there's still a lot of meat left on the bone. It's never developed a property like this before. May or may not just buy the property on bankruptcy pricing and sell it off to another applicant, and then possibly pass it off to another owner that we have to deal with. So at the end of the day, we're making a decision on a concept. And Blowing Rock is taking all the risk. Every bit of the risk. And I can't look the citizens of Blowing Rock in the eye and say that I can make this decision in favor of this. I just can't do it. I'm sorry. This whole situation has been brought about. We have felt like we were pressured. We have felt like we've been pushed in a corner in this whole process. And I just, that's going to be developed. There's no question about it. But it needs to be the right thing for this town. And you know what? This is a village. It should always remain a village. There's no question in my mind. If that's not done right, it's going to become a town. When towns change, everything else changes. It's going to lose its soul. It's going to lose its soul. So I hope that everybody involved in this thing is going to pay very close attention to the details. So that's the way I feel about it.
Are you ready to vote on the motion?
I'm ready.
All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, vote no.
No.
So this is where it leads us down. I vote no as well. Come.
Well, I do agree with Dan that we are here to set the rules at the beginning. And I think that's what we're here for tonight, is to make assurances to the town. I disagree that it's not something that could help us. I think there was a concern about lack of children in the elementary school. You're going to have people that are coming in, they're going to be working, going to stay here, they're going to have families. That's going to help our town because we're going to increase the people enrolled in the school. Employment. We can bring employment to Wallen. I think that's an asset. We're going to have retail. What I heard from the chamber is we need to bring more people in here. We need to brighten this town up with so people will come. And I think this is a reason that people would come. And I think the conceptual, I agree with it, but I think we can put the limits and we can set. And I would agree to some of what you said, instead of just doing staff, is to having it come back before town, because I think that is important, to come back before the council, because I think that would be an assurance. But I think we really need to look at increasing our tax base. We've had one failed, the Hay Center. I think that's made us all afraid. It makes us afraid of the same thing happening. And I think we as a council need to learn from the mistakes we've made in the past. And I think that's spelling things out. And so the applicant, we may hold you to the fire a little bit more than we've held anybody else, but I think that's why people are here tonight, is we're concerned, we're worried. We don't want a place that's left vacant. And I think that's why we talked about no land being disturbed. Let's have all this in front. And I think it was important for all of y'all to hear the CUP so that you understand there are things in there that are protection for the town. And I would work with the rest of the council to say, okay, let's staff bring it to us, and instead of just staff. And that's not saying anything. I have not felt pressured. I think we have the right to vote. We have the right to talk about it. I haven't felt the pressure that Dan's been feeling, so I need to say that. But I'm all for putting protection in here for people this time.
A lot of the stuff I'd probably just be reiterating a lot of what's been said. I also agree partially with Dan, but I also agree a lot with Sue. There's both sides of this story. I know that we've all had our ears bent here lately. And there's a lot of people out there who think this is a good idea and is willing to embrace this project also, who thinks it's good for the future of Going Rock. I think that a lot of times we hold what did happen at the Hayes Center accountable for any project that we look at now. And I don't think that's fair to the people going forward, coming into town, if we're gonna hold a project against them. We need to hold our feet to the fire, Sue, right? We have that right. We have the codes, the CUPs, everything that I've heard, we have a whole lot more control with this project than I think that a lot of people realize. I just feel like, I don't know, if, kind of like, I don't know, building a football stadium, you wait for 70,000 people to show up on Sunday before you build it, you know, I just feel like, I think we have a whole lot more power going forward with this than people realize.
I just don't see a lot of vote yes.
I call the question.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, vote no. You?
Abstain.
What's the official? On abstain. Is that considered a yes vote?
It is not considered a vote.
It's not gonna be, I don't even understand why you're abstaining.
An abstention is not a vote. Google it.